I'm Rosa Mendez, and I'm here at the #1 Long Island broadcast, Monte and Pharaoh. I had the best time ever!
Hey, listen, Daddy. You're listening to the #1 broadcast, Monte and Pharaoh, Daddy, in Long Island. The best pro wrestling broadcast of all time, I think.
Jimmy, I got to tell you, man, it feels good to be back on YouTube. It was quite disappointing what happened to us, but we bounced back fairly quickly.
Well, what else would we do? We're almost at 5,000 subscribers.
Well, speaking of that, man,
Yeah.
we need more members.
Okay.
What do you think we need to do to get the people of those 5,000 subscribers to come on and join the team as a Monte and the Pharaoh member?
Nudity is out of the question. Any other ideas?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But what I do have a few ideas.
Well, just like Prel, they should tell two friends, and they could tell two friends, and so on and so on. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Check out all our content.
But that's, you know what? That's why you're the star of the show, because guess what? Members get special content. Even we spoke about it. Pharaoh came to me one day and he goes, "Man, what's the deal? I can't even watch some of these videos because I'm not a member." And I said, "There you go, Pharaoh. You got to be a member because this is what the members get. They get free content
Nice.
that none of the other fans that watch this show get.
That's right.
You get free autographs from some of these wonderful stars that come in, right?
Nice.
All you do is you go to the MNP webpage, or right, our own page,
Yeah.
and shoot us an email and say, "Hey, man, I want a picture of Tommy Rich. I want a picture of whatever." And boy, that's on
We
its
give
way.
them their choice.
That's right.
We rock.
We do rock.
And you need to rock, too. Join.
All right, welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, only seen out of indie music television here out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. In the bullpen, Abe, round 2. Good job last Thursday, brother. Good work.
He did it.
Special Saturday show today with wrestling icon. He's
Yes.
an icon,
Yes.
right? Sinister Minister,
Yeah, father.
along with his partner. Could we say partner? Are you okay with that?
Protege.
Protege
Sure.
partner.
Sure.
Yeah.
Max the Impaler.
Nervous already, but go ahead.
Don't be scared.
Well, yeah, don't be easy for you to say.
She'll just bite you.
Did you see
Not
Max?
she what?
Did you see Max?
Yeah, I did.
I don't want to be bitten at all. Let Max bite you.
All right, anyway.
Yeah.
3 women missing in Mexico after crossing the border on
Anyway.
a Texas trip.
Anyway.
Anyway.
3 women missing in Mexico.
2 sisters from Texas and a friend are missing in Mexico after they crossed the border last month to sell clothes at a flea market.
What?
The abduction of 4 Americans in Mexico that was caught on video last week received an avalanche of attention and was resolved in a matter of days. But the fate of these 3 women who haven't been heard of since the abduction, I guess they're calling it abduction,
Sounds like it.
remains a mystery and is relatively little known. Thoughts?
Can I even ask this question without certain people getting really upset with the show?
Well, I hope you ask the question I want to ask.
Where's Big Bubba Joe? Joe Biden? What? They just stole our people.
Unbelievable.
Got to do something, right? No?
So, James, if you know,
What?
we had a very popular YouTube channel, very,
Yeah, it was doing really good.
really well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was.
And our political views had
Not ours, our guests.
our guests, ours,
We
everything.
asked questions, and our guests gave certain political views that got us completely removed.
They
You are
terminated.
no longer on YouTube.
No,
Well,
we
We
are.
are
We
now. We had to
rebooted.
reboot.
We had to
restart.
start over. Yeah.
And they're kind of, honestly, kind of holding us down a little bit. Like, so
Yeah, it's
when
a
we,
little
we're working hard to get it back.
Yeah.
But we're also on a a lot of every other social media aspect of it.
Right.
But the point of the matter is that my partner here decided to mention Joe Biden, and
Now I'm nervous every time.
If you put Joe Biden in a compromising position, like not looking for 3 young women who crossed the border in Mexico to
And
see
we're
if they're
adopted
okay,
and have disappeared.
you could find yourself in trouble.
Father, is this wrong for me to feel like,
Father.
He is. First of all, this is Father James Mitchell, the sinister freaking minister. Let's get this straight.
Father, it's been
okay?
100 years since I went to confession.
Well, it actually hasn't been, but since I've only been there once in the last
Well,
month,
I
Father,
give you
is this
a
wrong?
lot more rope than most fathers you'll encounter. So.
There you go.
Oh, wait, I gotta ask. Wait,
I feel comfortable.
you're gonna sling some bullshit at me and tell me you've been to confession within the last 25 years?
Yeah, I actually have.
You fucking lie.
Would you forget I was an elder at one point? Don't ruin the Pharaoh's image. You're killing this because now I have to tell the truth. What's wrong with you?
I can't imagine you going to
Unbelievable.
confession.
Well, now I don't. Now I just
Father, forgive me.
yeah. For I am the Pharaoh.
You don't even know what I want to say
this
right
is
now.
terrible.
You don't even know what I want to say.
I mean, is it wrong to think that maybe when this sort of thing happens, we should be stepping in at a very high level? Why is that so outrageous?
It all depends. It all depends. I don't get involved in political bullshit.
He's too smart for that.
Well, wouldn't the real
He's too
question be
smart.
is why 3 Americans are crossing the border to sell at a Mexican flea market?
And what do they take with them to
Does
sell?
that even sound like a kosher story?
What are they selling?
That's the point. That's what I'm
You
trying
think
to
that's?
say.
Oh, you think that's what? I never even occurred to me.
I'm assuming they were
Wow.
trying to do
Were the
something.
Americans being sold, or were they selling something?
The Americans crossed
There's
the
always
border
that, too.
to Mexico to sell in a flea market.
To sell what though? And what kind of flea market was it?
That's what I'm saying. It sounds a little fugazi to me, right?
Wow, could be
Unless you're trying to sell something that you can't sell
in America.
legally in the United States
Right.
of America.
Aye, aye,
And then
aye.
maybe someone at the other side got a little pissed off.
This is really
Right.
getting borderline bizarre.
But
Okay.
who am I to judge? Father, forgive me for
Could
even
have
judging.
involved copious amounts of cocaine. You never know.
There you go.
And you just asked for forgiveness. You've been to confession today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I haven't asked for forgiveness. Not
On a
yet.
lighter note, Lucy Liu reacts to hearing complaints about Bill Murray's alleged bad behavior on the sets. I felt sad that it happened to other people. So
What happened?
the story of Lucy Liu encountering bad behavior from Bill Murray on the set of the 2000 movie Charlie's Angels. Now, mind you, 23 years ago,
Right. Now's the time to talk.
it's
Go
long
ahead.
been Hollywood lore. She's confirmed what had happened. She had allegedly used inexcusable and unacceptable language to berate her in front of the entire crew. Thoughts, Pharaoh? Poor Bill Murray is getting run through the ringer lately.
And
too,
I
by the
thought
way.
he was trained to kill gophers. I don't understand what's going on here. Why are you picking on Bill? And why 23 years later? Now we're going to tell the story? They should have just waited for him to pass away. What's that, in the next 10 to 15 years? Wait. What are you doing? They always do this. Always. You believe her?
James, Bill Murray fan.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, Big Bill.
So do you think in the workplace you have a right to scold your employee if they're doing something? Not that Lucy Liu was an employee, but
Co-worker.
probably not the highest of actors or actresses, a high-level actress. So maybe, do you have a right to scold your
Yeah, you have
coworker?
a right to scold them. I don't know if you have a right in this day and age to grab their ass while you do it, or
Right.
whatever else
Yeah.
he's been accused of. I don't know.
What?
What do you mean?
Ooh.
Well, there you go.
All right.
You know,
So-
it's not like the good old days.
Where you can just grab ass.
Yeah, you can't play grab ass and scold at the same time.
I miss
One
having,
or the other?
I miss having my ass grabbed at work.
You do, don't you?
Absolutely. She was a killer, that one.
You better go to
Anyway.
confession.
Father, I confess that she slapped me in the ass.
If you didn't,
Anyway.
if you didn't know it, you're to the right is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh. And Jimmy, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall.
Bart, man.
Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as "In My Dreams," "This Life," "Not Far Behind," and "Here Comes the Rain." You could find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Download their music on Spotify,
Nice.
Apple Music,
Ah.
Reverb Nation. And James, if you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh, and you can catch Monte the Pharaoh on the Monte the Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monte and Pharaoh Facebook Live page. It's up on the screen for you, that big guy.
Oh, yeah.
Hear us on iHeartRadio,
Gabe's coming
Spotify,
right
Anchor,
along.
Twitch TV, Monte the Pharaoh page, and if you're lucky enough to live in New York, which I don't know if you, I'd rather be living in Florida.
Right about
Like
now.
our
With
guest.
this weather, you would.
Yeah,
You
right
ain't
about
kidding.
now.
Yeah. You could catch us every Tuesday at 9 p.m. on Channel 115 and 11:30 a.m. on Saturdays. And Channel 20, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. We're over 150,000 viewers are watching us weekly. Also, if you have the time, download the free app Intuitive, IN2UTIVE Network, where we have been asked to be the one and only television broadcast on that network. And that network has documentaries, it's got movies, it's got TV shows. It's just like a Netflix, right?
Right.
A new Netflix, and we are their one television broadcast slash
That works.
podcast.
Have you watched all the documentaries already? Because knowing you, you probably have.
I have not.
You haven't?
I have not.
Oh, so there's more for you to go.
had to prep for this interview.
Oh, nice.
So,
Preparation M. Very good.
all right, we'll be right back after this commercial break where we have this icon, Mr. Sinister Minister, along with Max, the Impaler. He's scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
I'm a slight bit uncomfortable. See you in a awkward moment.
Jimmy, I gotta take a dump. What? No. I mean, I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP. Elm Logistics, for all your logistic needs, call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics, pride, performance, and partnerships.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte and Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV. So, James, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
So, coming from the, what was it, the big horror event?
The big horror event
in Queens?
Yes,
How did
sir.
that work out there, buddy?
It was a madhouse. I would say people were spread out down the street, 6 blocks?
Awesome.
Something like that. Yeah, it was insane.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
6 blocks?
Horror convention, bro.
People were standing outside in the rain for 4 hours. They were there before I got there, and they still hadn't gotten in.
How does that make you feel that after all these years that fans love and adore you to that level?
Well, they weren't all there to adore me.
I understand that, but
I would love to lie to you, but that was
Brother Lugosi's
I didn't have
grandson!
6 blocks of people there to see me personally, but it was a big event.
Can I ask who was there as far as, the horror genre? I gotta.
From the horror genre,
Yeah, like,
Christina Ricci,
Okay.
William Forsythe was
Okay.
there,
Okay.
and
how's Christina Ricci's forehead nowadays?
Ari Lehman.
Wrinkly.
who else?
Ari
Eric?
Lehman was there. And the guy who played Chucky.
Chucky was there?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, the voice of Chucky?
Voice of Chucky.
Because he's the man. That's the sheriff
Brad
in
Dourif.
Zombie's Halloween movie.
Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif
Right.
is fantastic.
That's not the
That is
name-
Brad Dourif.
That is the
You
voice of
nailed it.
Chucky.
The voice of Chucky is Brad Dourif. Yes, it is.
Then it would have been somebody else who did it. I don't know.
He's got to pull out the
right,
line.
let's
You see
not-
what I started?
Let's not go
all
down
I wanted to know was
the,
is whether
the
Lugosi's
proverbial rabbit
grandson
hole.
was there.
Let's-
Anyway,
So you were saying, Monte.
yes, as we were.
What I was saying, I want to get back to my original question because James didn't answer it. How's Christine Ricci's forehead? Is it gotten smaller over the years or larger?
I didn't even get a chance to see her.
You didn't even get to see her.
No,
Man,
the hallway was too packed.
Wow.
She was in the hallway down past the bathroom, but it really was a madhouse in there. There's no room to walk.
nice.
So
Very nice.
you've got your wrestler here, Max.
Yes.
How do you two hook up?
We bumped into one another accidentally in the National Wrestling Alliance, and we had a meeting of the minds. In fact, Max, come on in. Come on, Max. Normally, I have to keep Max on a much shorter leash, but they have agreed.
You don't have a leash at all. What are you talking about?
Well, I have a mental leash. Now, I would just like to remind you, Max the Impaler is the non-binary nightmare. Max is not to be referred to as she or he or him
Understood.
or her.
Understood.
Max is neither fish
Understood.
nor fowl.
Very understood. Yeah.
and is the warlord of the wasteland. So behave yourselves, and I'll make sure that they don't eat you.
So this is kind of like a bear thing. Like if a bear is around you, just stay
Very
still.
similar.
Right?
thing?
Just
Don't-
like
Yes, don't
move.
Jesus.
Right?
Maybe
Don't
play
anger.
dead.
Gotcha.
You're doing just fine, Max.
Can I share with you though? I did catch a video of Max wrestling,
Uh-huh.
and Max is an incredible wrestler.
Max is one of the most amazing talents I've ever had the pleasure to work with. Max, you should go back and look at Max's match with Camille for the NWA Women's title. One of the greatest matches I've ever been a part of. The match with Jordan Grace in Impact Wrestling a while back was really outstanding. Max is like the crown jewel.
Let me ask you, feelings on the NWA. Is there a run in this? Do you think there's a run in this?
I believe so. I really enjoy working there, and I love the ambiance of studio wrestling. That's what I grew up on. You know, back in the old days, I would watch the Jim Crockett promotions and the Georgia promotion and the Florida promotion. I got all three of them when I was a little kid. And I remember when they first moved to the outdoor stadiums and whatnot, when Dusty took over the book, it felt very, it felt very strange. I like it. It reminds me of the wrestling that I grew up on, and they have an outstanding roster. And Billy Corgan's working to bring it to a bigger platform, but right now I think it's a really good product, and people really should give it a chance.
James, for the audience at home, can you clearly define, for those who aren't in the know, what is the definition of a non-binary wrestler?
A non-binary wrestler does not identify as male or female. Period. They
Understood.
are their own thing. They define the way they would like to be presented. And especially if there's someone like my lovely Max here, I'm not going to argue with them.
No. There's no argument in this room.
How,
Hit it. Before Max hits you.
just how do you control Max?
We have a similar taste for violence and destruction, and we just have a meeting of the minds. We can almost communicate telepathically.
So James, would non-binary
Yes.
mean that the wrestler would wrestle either a female or a male?
Yes. Max can do either. In a lot of ways, Max prefers destroying males.
Ah.
That look like him, right? Not me. Like him.
All depends.
Oh, like
I said
him,
like
Pharaoh.
him. Look at his shirt. How could you possibly not want to hit that?
Wow, you're selling me down the river,
Right
man.
down. I'll get you a boat and everything. An oar. Seriously, James, is the business ready for Max?
I think so. And it doesn't matter if
Nice.
they are or not.
Not
I've
asking-
already
not asking
unleashed
permission.
Max.
There you go.
It's been a parting of the Red Sea, so to speak. Everyone scrambles.
Holy Moses.
Is today's fan ready for a non-binary wrestler?
I would think so. You know, everything has to progress. You either progress or you become a dinosaur. And you know what happened to them.
Sure.
See ya.
Yeah.
So we know how crazy wrestling fans do get.
Yes.
Last Thursday, we were discussing on Twitter. We all know AEW, and there's a wrestler called Wheeler Yuta. And there were some comments about Wheeler. And Kevin Nash went on there recently and said that, don't get all upset. Don't worry about it. No one's watching. and which, that's exactly what I thought. Very
laughed
funny.
too. I thought it was funny.
The fan
Yep.
decided it was a good time to either start attacking his son who passed away.
Well, that would make them pricks.
Yeah, so I wanted to get your opinion on that. Is today's fandom worse now because of the internet,
I think so. I think they've become a bunch of overly sensitive pussies, really. You know, at first, when they were able to get on the internet and flap their gums from behind their keyboards, they were all tough guys. You know, what would you call them? Keyboard warriors and that sort of thing.
Sure.
And now they're all very easily offended, and you know, fuck those people. I don't cater to them. You know.
Amen, Father. How about Kevin Nash himself?
I love Kevin Nash.
What's your relationship with him? If you could share?
Not great. I mean,
But what
we're
you know of him?
friendly. We're friendly. If we were sitting in the bar together, we'd have a beer, we'd shoot the shit. But you know, I didn't run in his pack back in the day. We've hung out a little bit and partied after hours, after like back in Impact and stuff like that. But
Wrestling genius, Kevin Nash?
very smart guy, very smart guy, and one of the guys that is smart outside of wrestling. He's a really bright guy. I like him a lot.
So, reading up on you, and I could be inaccurate here, so please correct me.
Sure.
You dropped out of high school
Yeah.
to become a wrestler?
No, I dropped out of high school to become a rock star.
Oh, nice.
And that wound up not working out. And because I had grown up on there was a crossover at some point while I was doing music that I started just cutting wrestling promos on stage.
Yeah.
And bumped into a wrestler at a bar, and that's a very long, complicated story where I lied, conned, and swindled my way into the business. But at some point, I said, fuck music. This is much more fun. You know, I was having more fun cutting promos on the Marks and the Redneck bars than I was singing. So I just...
So I'm interested to understand, what did your mom or your dad have to say when you said, hey, I'm dropping out of high school, I'm following my
They were
dream to become a
furious.
rock star?
They were absolutely furious.
This sounds
And they
familiar,
were
by the way.
furious about
This
wrestling.
sounds very familiar to somebody.
Yes, I had zero support from anybody.
There you go.
Especially when once I wanted to get into wrestling,
Right.
and everybody thought I'd lost my fucking mind.
Right.
And I'll be honest, for a time, I thought I had lost my mind too, because when I tried to get in the wrestling business, it was like trying to break into the mafia. You know, you didn't have a wrestling school
Yeah.
on every corner.
Right.
You know, there were a handful of people that would teach it to you, and they didn't even formally have schools. They'd have to kind of pick you out and take them under your wing. So there really was a lot of ass kissing and manipulation and social climbing, and I was always able to bullshit my way up because even though I had dropped out of school, I was blessed with an excellent vocabulary, and I was much smarter than the average bear, so I was able to lie and bluff my way into places I shouldn't have been.
Just taking an educated guess, being in the rock business for many years in my past,
Yeah.
sounds a lot similar to wrestling as far as the shit you probably would have had to deal with, no?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
There's definitely a correlation between the two.
Oh,
rock
yeah. I
and
mean,
rock.
the lifestyles
Yeah.
were very similar
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I could see that. How about when you first do start breaking in Smoky Mountain Wrestling with Jim Cornette? Tell us all about Jim Cornette.
Oh, I loved Cornette. But yeah, I mean, I didn't just start in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I mean,
Right.
there was a lot of horrible outlaw bullshit
Right.
before I was able to hook up with Cornette. But Cornette was, Smoky Mountain was the first place I worked where I was consistently around people who all knew what they were doing. And instead of it being an indie show where somebody brought in two guys on top and everybody else was a jabroni who didn't know what they were doing, there was cohesion here, and I started to get a better picture of how the business worked, you know.
Sure.
And he put me with a mummy, Prince Karras, which was not how I wanted to make my television debut.
A mummy.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
mummy.
because I was always a fan of monsters and whatnot as a kid,
Yeah.
you know, I dove in, and because I didn't know what I was doing really at the time, I just spent every moment on air trying to be as vulgar and obscene as I could and letting my promos fly over the heads of the hillbillies that watched the show. But it was a great learning experience.
And how much input did Cornette have into your first character?
He told me that I was going to be called, well, he didn't even change my name. I was called Daryl Van Horn at the time. He made me put on a fez and sunglasses like the old Abdullah Farouk Grand Wizard deal did with the original Sheik in Detroit. Don't turn your head too fast, Pharaoh. If you value your ears,
Thought I was working on a good
Max
pace.
will
I'll
go after
reevaluate.
appendages. Be careful.
If you notice, I'm frozen.
but yeah, and then he would just give me bullet points, and I would take the bullet points and weave all of my filth into it. Looking back at it, it was great performance art. There were a lot of mistakes in terms of how to sell a wrestling character because I was more trying to show off and show how clever and dirty I could be. But some of it still stands up. And here, 30-something years later, I'm occasionally now pulling some of those old chestnuts out and dusting them off and reusing them because I figured, if Ric Flair could do the same promo every night for 40 years, I can pull out a one-liner or two from 30 years
Well,
ago.
certainly you're one of the great talkers of all
thank
time.
you.
You should be very proud of yourself. I want to bring it back to Max a little bit. So we
Yeah.
talked about Camille, and I always felt Camille. Well, am I wrong for saying this? Is the ultimate goal to get to the World Wrestling Federation, or is the group of we had Masters in here, and he was very complimentary over the NWA, and he really felt like, because I'll just talk personally for both of us. When
Sure.
it first came out, we loved it, right? Had the old Dawkins song opening it up. It had that old Georgia Championship wrestling feel.
Right.
Then Corrigan kind of made a right turn somewhere, and COVID hit and things like that. And you said you think the NWA could, but is the ultimate goal for Camille or a Max to hit the pinnacle of the WWE, or is it the pinnacle is to get the NWA
I would
where
love
you think
to.
it needs to be?
I would love to see Max hit Rhea Ripley. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that match? Holy
Well,
cow.
right
That's the
now, the
first thing I
ultimate
thought of.
goal is to get to the top of the NWA. Max has recently signed with NWA, so anything else is a moot point at the moment. So.
Max would whoop. Woo, woo, woo. You know it.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, James,
There are some asses in WWE that need to be kicked.
I'm
by
sure.
Max.
you ain't kidding.
Any in particular you could think of?
I won't mention them.
Oh, boy. Let them worry about
They
it.
know who they are.
Let them worry
James,
about it.
I'm pretty tough on Dutch Mantel, right? I think it's maybe some mustache
Pretty
or
tough.
what. I don't know what it is, the hair on his back or whatever else.
Yeah,
Though.
yeah.
But how was he towards you at Smoky Mountain?
He was super towards me in Smoky Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah, really. I was a green asshole in there, and he was helpful. He was very instrumental in getting by my push in Impact TNA back in the day when he combined me with Abyss. So I have nothing but good things to say about it.
Did you know you were on the right track, though? You did fill us in a little bit that there was a lot of horror show bullshit to get through before you got to Cornette.
Yeah.
But did you know you had gotten somewhere at that point when you did get to Jim? I mean, it's Jim
Oh,
Cornette.
yeah. Yeah.
You
It
got to
was-
know the hard work had to be worth it.
Oh yeah, I was breathing a completely different oxygen, and
Right.
Was
Right.
really kind of walking around on a natural high.
Right.
Like wow, I'm actually working with people on TV that I've watched.
And may actually know
kid.
what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sweet, sweet. Well, the next step, of course, is to get into WCW. If we're, what's
Yeah.
going on? Are we good back here? Are we
Yeah,
good
I
back
hear
here?
some bang.
You don't have any small animals here, do you?
No.
How
Any
strong is this wall?
any
Max-
manservants
Max has,
back there by any chance?
How strong is this wall, Michael?
Max has a
Look at this. This shit is shaking.
Max
Down,
has
Max.
a flavor for the Pharaoh.
Max, heel.
Doesn't have a flavor for the Pharaoh. It's got a flavor for that shirt. Max doesn't like the shirt.
Have you got
Don't
some
worry
raw
about the
meat
Pharaoh,
laying
please.
around here, gentlemen?
God help me.
Raw meat.
Do I have to confess right
Maybe-
now, live on the air?
Possibly
I mean, is that what has to happen here? I will. Aye. Eric! Eric, you brought Max. Where
Pharaoh.
are you, Eric?
Hey, you didn't dip your gimmick in tuna fish or something before you got here,
No,
did you?
absolutely not. I showered and everything. What on earth is going on here, please? Okay, you get to WCW. Max, may I respectfully ask your father there a question? You get to WCW.
Just let them sniff. Just let them
Please,
sniff.
please,
You'll be
just sniff, please. What kind of contract did you receive from WCW when you first got there?
What kind of money?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, that was fairly pleasant. Okay.
It started at like 55,
God.
and then I had it rolled over 2 years. We had raises
55?
each years. Each year.
55 in what year?
90.
Damn, I'm jumping all over that now. Wow.
96.
Wow, not bad. Not bad at all. Thoughts on Bischoff, if I can throw that in.
I didn't know him well. Everything was short, brief, and businesslike, but he personally hired me. He walked over to Dallas Page's man cave. Page had showed him my tape, and I was down there with Canyon, and Page walked in, and not Page, Bischoff walked in and offered me a job. Wow. So that was I had an endorphin rush for like 4 days. It wouldn't stop.
I couldn't
You
imagine.
know, like
That-
I've actually
that
now.
had to be.
Oh, I'm going from abject poverty to living my dream, and I can afford my own house, my own car, my own everything, and not worry about bills. So it was a great time.
The people who used to say you were crazy, did you call every single one of them?
You should have seen me go back and fuck all of my old girlfriends that dumped me. I came rolling up in a brand new
He said
in a brand new Lincoln Town car, and, because they were like, you're chasing this wrestling, you'll never make it. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm in town with my Lincoln, let's go out, and, you know.
Psych!
Well, I'd
Did you?
give them one for the road and then never
I
return their
should've raised my
phone
voice
calls.
like that. Psych.
Like, okay, well, here's my revenge. Boom.
There you go.
Pretty petty and devilish of me,
No,
but what
Sinister.
would you expect?
And I'm on
Understand?
TBS all the
I
time.
just had to rub their nose, among other things, in it.
I can't say I blame you.
Everybody saw you on Dark Side of the Ring, and
Yeah.
we'll get to Cannon in a minute. But there was Daphne Unger also.
Yeah.
Did you cross paths with Daphne? At
Yeah, a
all?
little bit.
And did you have any kind of relationship with her as far as like knowing the ins and outs about her?
No, I just knew Daphne as a real sweet girl. I would hear later from a mutual friend of ours, who described Daphne as kind of wild, whatever that meant. But I had no idea that Daphne was dealing with the depression and whatnot. And when I saw that video from right before she died, that was really heartbreaking. Daphne was a really cool girl, and it's sad that it went down that way.
We were fortunate to have Glacier on recently, and we discussed, definitely a friend of yours, Chris Canyon.
Yeah.
Chris was always held in high regard, but on Dark Side of the Ring, I guess it's maybe the way they spun it, they almost made it seem like Chris may have possibly taken advantage of your friendship from time to time.
No, I want to clear something
Yeah,
up here.
please do
now,
that. 'Cause
yeah,
that opinion is
he
out
was
there.
Canyon was a prick to me after he got signed to be Mortis.
Okay.
After we got on TV.
Okay.
I knew him for 18 years. This happened 5 or 6 years into knowing him, and it happened I would say from March until October of 1997. So that was a blip in our friendship.
Okay.
But and I didn't understand what was going on. I would have at that time, because we were always out drunk and whoring around, I would have figured he was dealing with a hangover and just being a grouchy asshole. I didn't understand depression or anything of the sort. But we fought like cats and dogs for that brief time. But if you had seen, I talked to the Dark Side of the Ring for 3.5 hours. Okay, it wasn't called the Bright Side of the fucking ring, but I thought the way I've watched it a million times. You're trying to combine somebody's entire life into 48 minutes or whatever it is, with commercial time allotted.
I mean,
I thought they told as good as a job as they possibly could within the time allotted. Now, some people I read online thought that I was shitting on Canyon or presenting him in a bad light, or that the other guys were, but it's like, then you must not have heard all the love that was spun, too. Because Canyon was a damn good guy, and it's sad that he was tormented like that. And it's sad that not only myself, but the world didn't know much of shit about mental health issues. It was a taboo thing to talk about. It was more taboo to talk about having mental illness than being gay. So he was much more open after he came out about being gay than he would have been about talking about.
There's a couple of weird things here. Well, first I wanted to ask you, and I think you answered it, and that was a good question, Pharaoh. But a lot of times I feel like Dark Side of the Ring kind of takes your guys' clips and they kind of put them in certain areas to make it sound a certain way. Do you think they represented what you wanted to say the right way?
I think Canyon would have been absolutely happy with the way he was portrayed. Because, first of all, he was, the things you don't get to you wind up on the cutting room floor. He was into comedy. He loved comedy. Well, there's funny Canyon stories in there, front loaded. I think he was presented adequately as an innovator, as somebody that people looked up to. I think it's obvious throughout the narrative that he helped a lot of fucking people who would not be here today if it weren't for him. And I think it accurately portrayed. There were some things in it I didn't know about, like the story with the Young Bucks and the shower and the phone call, and the Luke Hawks story. I didn't know about that. I think it accurately portrayed the arc of his life. I think he would like it, and I think that we accurately portrayed the real love and shit as it starts getting really sad towards the end, and actually I love the way they ended it with the line about him saying "fuck you, you missed me" if I tried to hug his ghost. Right. I think he would have liked that. Yeah. It's very difficult. Like I said, take 48 minutes. Take every show you've done and try to do a best of and make it 48 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot to jam in for a lifetime. Yeah.
But
wow.
In speaking to a lot of the ex-wrestlers, right, they all seem to have known that Cannon was a homosexual, right? And it was not a big deal. So was his depression really not about his homosexuality? It was more that he was just a depressed individual? Because when I watch A Dark Side of the Ring, at first you kind of get the feeling it's because he couldn't come out and it was bothering him. But then in the end, you kind of figure he just had a lot of mental illness that he was dealing with. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's an apples or oranges, chicken or the egg kind of thing. I'm sure. I mean, who knows if this runs in his family or whatnot? I never asked. It's none of my fucking business. But I think it definitely started with his confliction over his sexuality. But as he got older, he wouldn't take his meds. Stuff like that, or he'd take them for 2 weeks and stop. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to take antidepressants with alcohol. He wasn't a drug user, but he was a drinker. And that's shit you're not supposed to mix. And supposedly when you stop things on a dime, that throws you off into another tizzy. And, I'm not a doctor, so it's well beyond my pay grade. But it was bipolar because he could be the happiest, funniest person on earth. And then you could almost feel a clock. You know what I mean? Like, okay, he started off great, funny. He's getting a little grouchy. He's going to disappear for 3 months now. And there was a pattern, excuse me, to his behavior. But if he were still around, first of all, we went through all this, there wouldn't be an issue with him being gay. Nobody would give a fuck anymore.
Right.
And as I told him then, I said, any of these people, people who find out that you're gay now, yeah, maybe some of them will freak out and say, ooh, gay germs or whatnot. And if it stays that way, then fuck those people. They weren't your friend anyway, and you don't need them.
True.
But you'll probably be amazed at how many people will empathize with you,
When you reflect on yourself, do you think you were as good a friend as you could have been for him, or do you wish you could have done more?
I wish I would have known how to do more, There were parts, when somebody calls you 15 or 20 times threatening to kill themselves, and it keeps not happening, there's an element of the boy who cried wolf type of thing. And then when it does happen, yeah, it'll eat your ass up, But you couldn't get him to answer the phone, and you'd call other people, and they would say, well, he won't answer the phone for me, this is just what he does. Yeah, I mean, I'd look back at it, knowing what I know now, I would have done a whole different thing. I would have had him taken somewhere. I didn't know I had the power to do that,
You're a pretty impressive guy, man. I'm pretty impressed. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Let's talk about your time in TNA. You feel like the timing was just maybe slightly a little bit off because they had already hit some of their peak years? Tell me about the importance of timing in general when it comes to these.
Do you mean TNA's timing there in the marketplace, or my timing in TNA?
Your timing coming after
Well, you've got a couple.
I mean, I started with them. I was on their first show.
But you have a
Right.
couple of timing issues,
Yeah,
right?
I
You go to
came in and out.
WCW
Right.
and
Well, you had the ECW thing too, the reboot thing.
you get
that
close. You leave
didn't
right
happen.
before they close the doors, right?
I what?
You leave right before they actually close the WCW doors.
WCW?
the
Yeah.
doors.
Right.
Yeah, I left like last year.
So that's what we're talking about, the timing,
Oh,
right?
okay,
So
yeah.
you
Timing
get
in
there.
general.
I mean, before you get to that TNA question, in your opinion, who destroyed WCW?
Oh God, that was a lot of
Might be here a
people.
while.
I mean, it's easy on one level to point it at Bischoff, but then they took him off of TV for a long time. You know, they basically, I don't know if he was fired or they paid him to stay home.
How about Russo?
But yet it just, I don't know. I can't speak with any empirical depth because I wasn't there. And once I left, when I leave a wrestling company, I leave it. You know, I don't watch companies I don't work for. Just the same reason I don't stalk
Well,
ex-girlfriends.
how was your mental health, right? You hear you're in your dream, you're making those phone calls to ex-girlfriend, you're buying a new car, and then it's over.
Yeah. Well, they got rid of me right before they closed down.
Okay.
Maybe 1 year before they closed down. And yeah, and the dream popping, that was bad, but I immediately went to ECW a couple months later.
Were you surprised at the response? They loved you in ECW. You
Yeah,
were the
it
biggest
was-
face in the world.
Well,
what
because
happened?
I did the exact opposite.
I got excited.
I did the exact opposite of what you would expect.
Right.
You know, as Professor Boris Malenko used to always say, you know, if everybody around you is whispering, then you scream. If everybody's screaming, you whisper. So, what could be more direct contrast to what was being presented on ECW than an over-the-top character doing fucking stupid comedy skits? You know, it was so different.
Right.
It worked, and it was an accident of, you know, being drunk and high at, you know, in the middle of the night, because, you know, Mikey and myself would be sitting around waiting on for Paul to call us in to do promos, and, you know, idle hands are the devil's workshop. So once the girls were gone, there was nothing else to do but
Yeah.
imbibe.
Gotcha.
And it I don't look, a lot of that shit's embarrassing as hell to watch now. Like, what the hell were we thinking? But it was over. And, you know, I just did that convention today, and it's funny to me how many people enjoyed it, so I'm glad they did. But, you know, it was part of my evolution.
Are we
Max,
good?
don't bite any of the electrical cables.
I'm not turning around.
We don't want to knock anything out there.
Behind me somewhere.
So, TNA was the next question you were going
Yeah,
at?
yeah. How about the timing in TNA?
Well, their timing, I don't know if their timing was, well, that was what, 2 years after everything else closed, right? They started in 02 and everything shut
Right.
down in 01. So
I
maybe
actually
about a
bought
year.
that first pay-per-view. I remember right back at the beginning. Yeah.
I think it took TNA at least a year to get started on the right track. But they had ups and downs depending on who was booking and whatnot. I think TNA's glory years were when they went to Spike.
Mhm.
So from probably 06.
Correct.
Oh, no, late 05 maybe? Is that
Yeah,
when
even
they went to
sooner.
Spike?
Yep, with AJ and Joe and Kurt Angle and Sting.
Late 05 through about the middle of 2008.
Right.
Which, just to be arrogant, also coincides with my best run there,
There you
with
go.
the best that
There you
run.
go.
But
that was great.
You know, I love this. I love the stuff with the new church with Slash Wolfie. Yeah, are you buddy
Who?
there? Slash Wolfie D.
Yeah.
Slash.
Who?
You know, is he no longer a part of the family
By
now?
the way,
Yeah, well,
oh jeez, here we go.
yeah. I was going to ask you about Wolfie. So you like Wolfie, huh?
Here we go.
Yeah. What happened?
Oh boy. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, you know, I used to like Wolfie too at one
Used
point,
to.
but now
Yeah,
I'm not.
once upon a time.
We don't get along. I don't get along with a lot of people. I guess maybe it could be me.
Oh. Nah, Wolfie.
Wolfie actually had a show on our channel for a while.
Yeah.
Did really well.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But
Putting in
then,
an effort and everything.
But then Wolfie was Wolfie,
He kind of evaporated.
right?
Then he
Like,
disappeared?
you know Wolfie, right?
Yeah.
He disappeared.
Yeah. Well, you're filling in the blank.
Yeah,
but
you
thank
feel yeah, disappeared.
Thank you, Father, for he has
I know
disappeared.
the wolf.
Yeah, so
I
you
got
know, You know, Wolfie's
was.
supposed to be in next week, so we haven't seen each other in a
Jeez.
while.
Oh, that should be fun.
It should be real fun.
Any chance you could bring Max next week?
Yeah!
That would be the
good
That
idea.
is the idea. I like that idea.
Great. That's a
Wow.
great idea.
All right, because we were also going to have a barricade. You know the old-fashioned barricades back in the day. We're going to put a
Yo,
barricade here.
speaking of Wolfie, did you recognize him when he returned to Slash? Because obviously he was enhancing himself at some point, right?
I didn't really know him as PG-13. Again, if I'm not in a company, I don't watch your shit. I haven't watched WWE programming. I mean, unless it's in a bar or something, but I'm not
Right.
paying attention to it. Or at somebody's house, but I'm still not paying attention to it. I haven't paid attention to WWE programming since I got hired by WCW.
Wow.
I know of the names of a lot of people there, but for the most part, I couldn't
So
point them out in the crowd.
why is
and that's
that?
not shitting on WWE.
No.
It's just what I do.
You're
But
into
why
your
is
own
that? I
thing.
mean, you
I don't have
loved
time.
wrestling, right?
I have so many hours in the day, And look, I'm a father now. I just had a kid. I got a 3-year-old.
You've been a father.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
At my advanced age, I don't have time to do anything that's not making me laugh or putting money in my pocket
Right.
or making me blow.
Wait a
load.
minute,
That's
wait a
the
minute,
three things I'm
wait.
worried about.
Well, he's right
What
about
about
that.
your son Abyss? You still taking care of him?
No, he's done well for himself. Now, see,
It's his son.
he
in the story.
he got a good gig at WWE.
Yeah, he's
with
working
them.
with
Yeah, he's
WWE.
doing very well. Is he sending his father money?
Yes, he has much better. He has much better benefits and health insurance than I do.
So interesting you brought that up. So we are within the same realm, believe it or not, the same age, right?
Yeah.
I was just saying to him, it's like, who would ever thought like these wrestling heroes would end up? We've been doing this long enough now. Now we're actually becoming older than they
some
are,
of the-
and you're like, this is getting scary.
Yeah, this is getting weird. But
So with all due respect, James, what are you thinking about having a child at 50-something years old?
Well, it was a bit of a surprise. you know, as the old song goes, "Papa was a Rolling Stone."
Oh no! Oh boy! Papa
it's
was
been
a Rolling Stone.
A real life change. I have to behave myself for the most part, because I have to worry about somebody else, and also have to worry about keeping Max from murdering people.
Yes.
And your 3-year-old.
Yes.
Oy. Jeez. We've had Tommy Rich in many times. One of my favorites. Obviously worked in ECW. What was it like crossing paths with Tommy and the full-blooded Italians?
Oh, it was fun. I don't know Tommy real well.
Okay.
But, of course, I used to watch him all the time when I was an outsider looking in 1979, 1980, and crossed paths with him a few times on the indies over the years. But, yeah, he's a real character. He's a soldier.
How about Tajiri and Super Crazy while we're on the ECW?
Loved him. Tajiri was real funny. The joke with Tajiri used to be that he doesn't speak English unless he's going over, which was, Tajiri. So I'll do this. No, not so much. And then, okay, and then 1, 2, 3. Yes, very good. And then I will go to the top, and I will, But
That's great.
yeah, he's a funny guy.
Rey Mysterio is obviously the face of a lot of the wrestling styles we see today. You think Super Crazy deserves a little more love, for God's sakes?
Sure. Super Crazy was awesome.
I'm a big Super Crazy mark. I had to get that in.
Yeah.
Considering you didn't show up to our show, I don't even know why you brought him up, but that's okay.
God, do I have to hold grudges with
So
everybody?
you worked with
Jesus.
Dixie Carter,
Yeah.
Russo,
Yeah.
right?
Oy. Oy.
We'll say Bischoff, kind of,
Yeah.
and Heyman.
Yeah.
If you compare them, who did you feel had the most talent?
Did you leave Cornette off of this list on purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
Cornette. Surprise! I don't get along with Cornette.
He
either.
doesn't like Cornette either.
Okay.
He likes Max. See, I just bailed you out.
Thank you.
Yes,
You were
you
heading
need
down the
to
road.
like Max, otherwise
I
Max
love
will
Max.
peel your skin off, twist it into a
You
noose,
ain't
and
kidding,
lynch you
man.
with it.
Mm.
Easy,
Oh
Max.
boy.
Don't
You brought
don't
him
let
in.
them get you upset.
Oy.
Of that group, I would say Paul Heyman.
Did you know Heyman had that kind of talent working for him? Did you say this guy is going to be the man one day?
Well, I mean, he was already kind of the man the first time I saw him when he debuted on WCW. Well, I guess he was, the second string manager under
Yeah,
Cornette.
yeah.
But
He was great, though.
I loved him back then.
He was great.
I had no idea he'd go on to become a power broker like he has, but he's brilliant. Very brilliant, fast as a whip. Very talented guy, and that's, his legacy speaks for itself.
Of all the great managers, Blassie, the Wizard,
Albano.
Heyman,
Albano.
Albano, but Heenan.
Yeah.
Where does James Mitchell rank?
I don't know. I've answered this before, and this is the most accurate way I think I can describe it. I got into the business when being a pro wrestling manager was the equivalent of you could be a great pro wrestling manager, but it was like being an 8-track tape deck, because nobody's using them anymore. So then, I think that rather than existing on a Mount Rushmore or anything of that sort, that, I actually use this to compare myself to Cornette. Said that Cornette was the Elvis, Beatles, and Rolling Stones of pro wrestling managers. I was the Tom Waits, Frank Zappa, and Warren Zevon.
Oh,
Meaning,
okay.
I think my talent and my gift of gab speaks for itself. But I think, frankly, people in my profession are more impressed with what I do than the population at large, because you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many stops and starts.
No, I got you.
And, with pro wrestling managers being deplatformed for so long as they have been. I mean, there are people I run into now that think I stopped when ECW went out of the way.
Right.
People who
Right.
never saw any of the stuff on Spike TV.
Right.
But, I deserve to be a very lengthy footnote, I think, because for a long time I was the only manager on national TV, and I was having a good run. But, it depends on how you define greatness. I would have loved to have lived in the era of the wise men of the East. I think you could have plugged me in the 70s and 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Oh, yeah.
With Albano, Blassie, and the Wiz.
I could see it.
I could see myself with any of those monster heels they were with. But, by the time I got to where anybody could see me, those days were gone.
Wow.
So, different business.
Excellent.
But I've enjoyed
Excellent
every
answer.
bit of it. And I got out of it for a while, and I realized I needed to come back just to keep my sanity. Because I don't want to be on the road full time, I like going and doing TV every couple weeks or something, and it keeps me sane. It's kind of like, what is it junkies take to not get sick? Methadone. Wrestling, I need a little wrestling methadone. Because I realized when I stayed out of it for a while, I became a miserable bastard. I am a carny fuck, and I need
The show.
I need that around me, and I need to be around other people who are kind of outlaws and don't follow the rules.
Awesome.
Let's bring it back to the NWA, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna hit you with we'll bring Sims in and promote you, and then Pharaoh's final question. A lot of talent in the NWA right now,
Yeah.
right? That being said, Nick Aldis
Yeah,
had a left.
yeah.
You've got Tyrus as your champion. Did you think Aldis leaving the NWA hurt the NWA?
I don't know.
I mean, as someone that's there and you're trying to grow this thing, I mean, he was the face of the company.
I don't
right?
think it was the most professional way to go about doing things, so it could have. But, Billy Corgan's a smart guy. And, he's smart in business, period, not just in the wrestling business. And he has a vision for his brand. He wants an NWA style that he's stressing, which is a much more snug and intense style, a little less gymnastics, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I trust his vision. It's not my place to question what he's doing. It's not what I get paid to do. Yeah, Aldis, that's private business shit between Billy and himself. So, I really can't speak to what went on there. I just think, trying to go about it publicly the way he did was probably in poor taste.
How do you think about Tyrus carrying that title onto Fox News? I mean, 10 million people are
There you go.
seeing that belt every day, not every week, every day.
Right. Yeah, I would call that pretty smart marketing.
That's pretty smart marketing.
That's going to get you a lot further than I don't know, buying advertising on Facebook or
That's for
whatever
sure.
the hell people do these days.
Look at that. Sims.
Eric
Sims?
Sims, you're being go drag him, Max.
Did we let him use the bathroom or something?
I don't know. Sims, come in and promote your
It's okay.
stuff.
It's okay, Max.
Oh, God.
It's okay.
You're not
we
on
got-
camera, Eric.
Then we
So
got two monsters. Oy.
go over
That's
next
cool.
to James.
That's cool.
You want me to sit
Sit
over
next to-
here?
sit with
Watch
James.
the camera. I don't want
Oh,
They don't need
to- You'll be okay.
You know what? You know what, Mr. E, I'm gonna let
I want him near Max.
I'll try. I'll try to keep
Keep her back.
It's not her. They are them.
Am I the only one who knows to call
They
this
are
competitor,
them.
Max? Am I the only one?
I will not get on
Say
camera.
keep them back.
Keep them back. Them. Sorry. Them. Heel. Them. Heel.
Get him, Max. Get him, Max. Oy.
Only a Monte the Pharaoh.
Of
God,
course, so
God,
Monty,
damn, no, wait a second. God damn. This has been a very challenging weekend because I have to change my goddamn vernacular this weekend with learning the proper protocol for non-binary terminology.
You better learn it.
Of course.
By the way, Phil out there says, "Thank God Maven's friend is on the couch."
Yeah, because he'd be taking a nap.
You know how I studied this for a long time of how to what is it they or them, and I'm trying to think. Don't say he, she. Don't reply to any of this. Don't do that stuff. And I would practice. Don't do this. Don't do
Max,
this.
don't eat
Tim,
the
make sure I don't
microphone,
say this.
please.
I don't say.
Oh,
I don't say that.
God.
It's like, huh?
By the way, a mess out there is asking, "Are you buying McDonald's for the crew tonight?"
No.
Who, Captain Coupon over here on the couch? Are you out of your
I went
mind?
McDonald's this morning for them.
Ay,
The once is enough.
God. Oh, my God, help
Oh my
us.
God!
Please, once
Go ahead,
is
promote
enough.
your
Go
stuff.
ahead, toot your horn.
God damn it.
Jesus, God
It's no
almighty.
BS with your cult hero over here. Anyway, tonight, Max the Impaler is gonna beat up some poor schlub at the Warriors
A
of
gentleman named Max.
Bang!
Max versus Max.
Max has the nerve to
some
take
puss-
Max's name?
Can I talk, please?
Max is dead. Go ahead. Spiel.
Max, they, he, shit, whatever, gonna beat up some poor schlub in at Warriors of Wrestling, St. Finbar's Church in Brooklyn, New York.
In the
And
church.
That's gonna be in about 2 hours or 2.5 hours or so. We gotta get down to that show just as soon as we're done here. And tomorrow we're up in Albany, New York at Heroes Hideout, where it's gonna be Max the Impaler, Father James Mitchell, and a couple other talents going up there. Maria Canales and her husband.
Oh.
And, Brooke Tessmacher, and so it's going to be fun up at Heroes Hideout at the Colony Center, 11 to 1. So, and then to follow everything ESS, it's ESSpromotions.com.
Well, I got to say, I am personally very impressed by Max's wrestling ability.
You're an excellent judge of talent.
Well, thank you, sir.
You're an
I
ass
will-
kisser. So am I. Just
Discretion
tell me
is the
I
better
am.
part.
Anyway,
Valor.
That's fine.
so this is the time where we have something called the Pharaoh's Final Question. Non-scripted.
God,
I've unplugged the
no.
television. It's coming from his brain.
Whatever
I
there
don't know
is.
what he's going to ask you,
There ain't
James.
much.
It could be anything. I have no idea. Go ahead, Pharaoh.
What does the future hold for Father James Mitchell and Max the Impaler?
NWA Gold. Sooner than later. And a long trail of broken, twisted bodies.
Sounds like Tyrus is going to have some serious problems.
I'll tell you what. I'm a fan.
I would love to see Tyrus against Max the Impaler.
I would be rooting for Max
That would be-
1,000%.
That would be an interesting match right there.
Max should have the belt. Forget Tyrus. I said it. I don't care if you're showing it on Fox News. Let's get fresh. Let's get new. Let's get original. Let's get Max.
I want Max to be Camille.
Camille's a side note in my mind.
Really?
She'll just fling it to the side. Get out of here, Camille. See you later. Come here, Tyrus.
All right, anyway, you've been watching.
I think big.
Thank you guys for joining us. James, thank you. Max, Thank you so much.
What are you thanking Max for? Max is going to come over here. Don't thank Max again. I already thanked Max. Can I? Max, you can sit in my chair. I tell you what.
Sit.
Sit? I'll sit.
Sit,
I'll
sit.
I'll shit if you want me to. Sit and shit. Wait a minute, I just did. Oh, great. So long, folks. It was
I want
nice
to thank
knowing you.
Max the Impaler.
Jeez, wait a minute.
I
Sit
see
on the
gold
side.
in Max's future. I see gold in Max's future. And James, always been a fan. Incredible human being. Thank you for taking the time. You've been watching Monte and Max, Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Seen only here out of Indie Music Television.
Go Yankees.
Max, you want to send us out?
Yeah!
May all of your stains be large ones.
May all of your stains be large ones.